in the quiet spaces of our lives, we often wonder who we are and where do we go after death. Case histories of patients who have miraculously returned from a death experience testify that there is life beyond death.
मैं देह नहीं नश्वर नासी मैं अलख निरंजन अविनाशी मैं अलख निरंजन अविनाशी हाड़ मास के देह को भूअर्पण कर.
Yogis realized that we are immortal consciousness. That consciousness exists within us in the form of a swan, the Hamsa. That the Hamsa is an objective reality within our brain.
Om Bhur-bhuvah Swaha Om Tat Savitur-Varenyam.
Yogis revealed that the key to unlock our consciousness is breath. The pathway for the breath is the cerebrospinal system, and the science, yoga. To understand the science, we followed the footsteps of a householder yogi to the Himalayas and captured his candid camera revelations on actual locations. Custodians of the science, the Nath Yogis, called themselves the Hamsas. Hamsa means a swan.
Om Jom Saha Om Triambakam.
The swan, they knew, holds the secret of our evolution.
Oravarokamiva bandhanat mrityor mokshiyamamritat. Om Saha Jum Om Jum Saha.
Meditating yogis and ascetics make it their life's purpose to unlock the deepest secrets of human consciousness, to seek the ultimate truth.
Om Saha Jum. As I trekked my way up to the sacred city of Rudraprayag, I had one thing in mind, single-minded purpose, to get an experience of the Divine Lord, Shiv Goraksha Babaji. And as I made my way up, I reached there in the late evening. I settled down near the Alaknanda river and the Mandakini river confluence, and there I used to go each night to meditate and prepare myself for the great event. One day as I went down, it was a moonlit night, and I sat, my body became still, my mind dissolved. And all of a sudden, I had this experience of the whole Alaknanda and Mandakini rivers flowing through me and up my spinal cord, way up, gushing up to the third eye, and both the rivers meeting in my third eye at the confluence called Rudraprayag. My innermost core became my outermost self, and my outer being became my innermost core. And within me, I had the experience of the snowy mountains, the rivers, the trees, the hills, all contained within me. There was a sense of supreme satisfaction. My mind knew no bounds. Its boundaries dissolved. I saw this aurora borealis, a light coming from the distance along the river. And it was like the aurora borealis of the northern lights. But the colors of this revolving light were lilac, violet, indigo. And they came towards me, and I seemed to partake of this light, for my innermost essence was absorbed in this beautiful light coming from afar. Knowing it to be my core essence, I stilled into it. Within the revolving aurora borealis of the lilac flame, the core center was white. Suddenly there was a huge flash, and with the flash I flashed out and was unconscious. When I came to being, I saw bathing at the confluence in the river the glorious form of Shiv Goraksha Babaji. Call him the Nameless One. Call him the lightning standing still. Whatever, he was the truth incarnate. And as he walked up, he beckoned to me and called me. We walked up a little hillock near a hut where there were some onions and seeds of big trees lying. Break the seed, he said. I broke it. He said, what's in there? So in the innermost kernel of the seed, there was a hollow space. And then he laughed at me and he said, my son, the truth of truths is this, that from the nothingness is the everything created.
From the nothing is the everything created. Nothing, an essence so subtle that human eyes cannot see it. Yogis call it Chaitanya, or divine consciousness, an essence that transforms itself into light, into sound, into the splendor of creation itself.
Om Purnamada Om Purnamidam Om Purnat Purnamudachyate Om Purnasya Purnamadaya Om Purnamevavashishyate Om Purnamada Om Purnamidam.
Born from that all-pervading consciousness, creation is held together by prana, the life breath of that consciousness. The stars, the galaxies, the infinities, pulsating, breathing, alive energies. Divine consciousness is emblazoned in the blueprint of creation. And within this vast cosmic body is the human form. In their meditative silence, rishis heard the sounds of the evolving consciousness within their own bodies.
If we look at the construction of our galaxy, we will see that we have an estimated 100 billion stars therein, in our Milky Way galaxy. And if we look at the construction of the human brain, we will see that it also has 100 billion cells. Now, according to the Nath Sadhana, the Nath Sampradaya, when the individual consciousness in the yogi evolves to a state where every neuron in his brain cells connects with the stars, that is the 100 billion neurons have a connection with 100 billion stars, then cosmic consciousness is said to have been expressed and the yogi attains to the final nirvana. If you also look carefully and we study the cosmos, we study our galaxy, we see in the center of the galaxy a Brahma Gufa, a cave of Brahma, a supermassive black hole which swallows up the night, swallows up time, swallows up matter and causation. The law of physics break down and go into the great deep of nothingness called the Mahankal, he who is the great time and the great zero not zero. Similarly, in the human brain, in the center of the human brain, there is also a miniature cave of Brahma. This cave of Brahma is the third ventricle. When, according to the Nath tradition, the yogi does his meditation up the spinal cord and merges into the third ventricle, into the cave of Brahma, which is situated, he loses all self-sense and in a flash connects with the cosmic black hole in our galaxy and realizes himself as the universe.
The joyous flow of energy from the Creator to creation is divine breath. And the yogi connects beyond the stars to drink freely. For he knows that vital breath which is gifted to us at birth and withdrawn at death is divine consciousness in motion. And so he walks the bridge of his breath to merge into the infinite. And along the path he breathes the life essence of the spiritual sun, behind which is the doorway into the next galaxy. It is believed that Shiva, the supreme consciousness, imparts his energy to our solar system via the sun.
Om Ring Rang Raksha Raksha Go Raksha. 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 Om Aditya Hridayam Punyam Sarvashatru Vinashanam Jayavaham Japam Nityam Akshayam Paramam Shivam. Om.
Yogis, through ancient techniques, drink from the sun to convert the material atoms of their body into luminosity. A transformation felt internally by the yogi and visible to us as his aura. The technique of directing the flow of light energy up the spine and to the different regions of the brain is the ancient evolutionary science of yoga. Replete with pranic solar energy, the yogi is able to go without food for days on end.
भजनी कवळ घेता नाम घ्या श्री हरीचे सहज हवन होते नाम घेता फुकाचे जीवन करी जीवित्वा.
Availability of food is uncertain at the high altitudes of the Himalayas. Yogis discovered an alternate source of energy from within the body. A liter of fluid, which is produced by the brain daily. During meditation, a yogi subsists on this nectar in the absence of food. Constant in the awareness of his breath, this sun of radiant light creates his wings to freedom, but ordinary man remains unaware.
He is unaware of his divine indweller because his consciousness via the medium of breath is conveyed into the 72,000 nerves of his body and his 5 senses with such a force that the effect is mistaken for the cause, and the human being idolatrously imagines himself to be a corruptible body and not a divine soul. When a child is born from the womb of its mother, this heresy of separateness occurs. And as it breathes its first, Hung with the exhaled and Sa with the inhaled breath. The life currents of its soul are conveyed into its flesh with such a force that this makes it think and realize itself to be the physical body and not divine consciousness. And as he grows on, he lives. As he grows up, he lives with this delusion.
Free of delusion, the yogi knows that birth and death of the body are mere chapters in his life story, and that he, as the eternal river of consciousness, flows on.
Ekam nityam vimalam achalam sarvadhi sakshibhutam bhavatitam trigunarahitam satgurum tvam namamim.
Om Vaishvanaraya Vidmahe Lalilahe Dhimahi Tanno Agne Prachodayat Swaha. Om Vaishvanaraya Vidmahe Lalilahe Dhimahi Tanno Agne Prachodayat.
Next to the funeral pyre, where bodies are cremated, flowing in the bliss of consciousness alone, the yogi blesses all, every moment.
Hang Sam Lang Sang Phat Swaha. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinas, sarve santu niramayam, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhave. Om. There is a process whereby we may salvage a crystal consciousness. This is done by an evolutionary yogic meditation called Shiva Shakti, where the spine is magnetized by a process of magnetic oxidation, a process of spinal breathing, which causes the electrical flow of pran to reverse itself into the river of the spinal cord and regain its divine consciousness. In yogic parlance, this reversal of the electrical flow is known as pratyahar.
The reversing prana seeks new pathways. It moves into the Sushma channel within our spine.
This Sushumna Nadi is the highway of the evolutionary energy called Kundalini. This Kundalini is the cosmic energy which remains after the completion of our universe. It is a kinetic energy. In each individual, it lies as a bioelectrical light sound vibration coiled 3.5 times around the Swayambhu Ling. In the human brain lies the corpus callosum. Connected to the corpus callosum is the Hamsa swan. There are ventricles in the human brain in the shape of the Hamsa, the swan in flight, with its wing-like lateral ventricles thrust towards the forehead and its head pointing towards the back of the skull, as though flying back to the future faster than light.
गगन मंडल में हंसा डोले, ओहम सोहम पंख पसारे.
Since eons, yogis have reported seeing a Hamsa during meditation. What is this Hamsa? What is its connection with us?
गगन मंडल में हंसा डोले, ओहम सोहम पंख
This swan of light is not merely the fantasy of a yogi or the imagination of an artist. This photograph, scanned from a medical text, is the actual coronal cross-section of our brain. Within each of us lies this divine legacy, the luminous Hamsa that Indian yogis realized as the seat of their soul.
पंख पसारे गगन मंडल में हंसा.
As the Hamsanath yogi meditates and progresses by spiritual pranayam along the path, he activates the Kundalini energy up the spinal cord and brings it to the third eye center, the Shivanetra. Now in the third eye center, there is the Agya Chakra. The two petals of the Agya Chakra form the eye of Shiva as they carve around one another and join on top of the head. The Hamsanath yogi sees the Shivanetra, which is just in front of the cave of Brahma.
त्रिये नैन अब भेद उड़े हैं, तोड़ के जन्म मरण के ताले. ब्रह्मानंद सहोदर सुनकर अनहद अनहद वाणी बोले. गगन मंडल में हंसा डोले.
Within the center of the eye is the scintillating white star called the Kutastha Chaitanya. This is the Bindu representing Shiva, the Supreme Lord of creation, preservation and destruction. When the yogi, by constant years of meditation, penetrates the star, he is already in a state of Sabikalp Samadhi. He penetrates the star and enters into a state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And now this lofty soul, radiant in his splendor, rests with his pranic spiritual energy in the ventricles of the Hamsa swan, which are the lateral ventricles in the brain. And there he gets his vastest and greatest of spiritual realization beyond the reckoning of humankind. And he evolves by spiritual progress. The evolution of human consciousness is still going on as the human brain develops, vaster and more beautiful. The texture refines. The 100 billion cells in the human brain are uniting with the 100 billion stars in our galactic system. And they go beyond the galactic system into the wonderful state of supernal splendor of Niranjan Nirvan, Kaivalya Samadhi, the Nirvan. His physical brain and body cannot take it much, but the ultimate stage is that the corona radiata in his brain cells, these subtle fibers, these tubes, light up with a divine effulgence. This radiant splendor goes and spreads in its aura far beyond the Earth system, way into the galaxies. We are ever drunk with the nectar of the Lord. So drunk are we in His joy that the ego dissolves. The ego starts dissolving moment to moment. The moment you think of divine consciousness, there is a self-effacement. And the more you efface yourself, the more you become divine. And the secret of this is to become as a child is. In innocence and utter faith, know the innermost consciousness of the truth that you are. Hiss Kundali sting ego mine with nectar poison so sublime, penetrating all my lotus shrines, making me to myself divine. This is the drunkenness which the Divine Mother gives us. She stings us with nectar poison. It is so sublime. I'm using the word nectar poison because there are no human words for the experiences I know this is a hopeless case. I know I cannot describe my experiences, but from the innermost core of my heart, I'm trying to convey to you how it would be to feel drunk with the joy of the Lord.
न मे द्वेष रागो न मे लोभ मोहो मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यः
The cosmic web is transient,
न धर्मो
constantly
न
forming and reforming, shaping itself anew.
चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवो
So the truth seeker goes beyond matter and light in his quest for the still and thoughtless mind, the Unmani.
न तीर्थान यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं न मृत्युर्न शङ्का न मे जातिभेदा पिता नैव मे नैव माता च जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्र गुरुर्नैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूप
Unmani, the state of limitless soul awareness, is Samadhi.
हम परदेसी बादेश भये, जहाँ हर दिन होरी होत, वहाँ सप्तरंग पिचकार फुआर, हम निर्गुण रंगी होत, तरे भाई निर्गुण अंगी होत. The Unmani Avastha, the still mind state, the no mind state of natural enlightenment, is in the true essence of Yoga Sadhana. Over here, Nirguna Rangi Hot, the yogi, when is drunk with the state of his own divinity, he finds the 7 colors of Rag and Dvesh, attraction and repulsion, lust and greed, melt away. The 7 colors of the spectrum, when he spins and whirls internally in his consciousness, the 7 colors of attachment dissolve into the color white, the immaculate white, and he is free from the trammels of the senses and material desires. Are hum pardesi badesh bhaye, jahan bajat chhattisson rag, dasra naubat naad kare aur rag kare omkar. Are bhai rag kare omkar. Then he rises to the next stage. After he has done with material desires and detachment from the senses, he is virakt, and he goes into a certain sound, the birthing hum of creation, and everything to him is the sound of the Omkar, the creative hum of the cosmic motor. Beyond the Unmani Avastha, where he goes and he forms the third eye within the depths of his own consciousness in the cave of Brahma, the golden rim, the blue center, and the scintillating white star. The yogi in Unmani Avastha is in a state of Bhav Samadhi, Sabikalp Samadhi, but when he penetrates the star, he goes into a state of Nirvikalp Samadhi. वहां ध्यान न स्थान न नाद न बिंद, आकाश नहीं वहां काल कहां, सब शून्य अशून्य का हैपन है, ईश्वर भी निरंकार वहां.
विभुत्वा च सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां समावेशमत्व न मुक्तिर्न बन्ध चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् हृदननु तननु हृदननु तननु हृदननु तननु हृदननु तनननु हृदनननननु
No mind, no place, no sound, no form, no space, no time. My Lord is beyond attributes. It is said that Gorakshanath burst forth from the heart of Shiva for the salvation of humanity. Gorakshanath is the supreme guru of the Nath yogis.
सतगुरु चरण की गंगा वाहे, मन मैला सब धोए रे। शिवा मेरे कब तुझसे नाता एक हुई रे। गुरु दर्शन के प्रेम की धारा, अंग में अमृत घोले रे।
The soul's breath is the bridge between humanity and divinity. The wise walk this bridge to unite with the divine.
शिवा मेरे कब तुझसे नाता एक हुई रे। अरे गगन मंडल में घोर जियारा, गगन मंडल में घोर जियारा। शिव को रखिया दिसे रे। टूट गए मोह सब रे बंधन, शिव हम हुई रे। टूट गए मोह सब रे बंधन, शिव हम हुई रे। अलख निरंजन कर शिवोम, अलख निरंजन कर शिवोम, अलख निरंजन कर शिवोम, अलख निरंजन कर शिवोम। निरंजन कर शिवोम, निरंजन कर शिवोम, शिवोम शिवोम। ओम 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 ओम। And as I trekked up the Himalayan ranges, in the rugged hills of Garhwal, I kept walking on and on, for I was destined to a very sacred place, about which I had not known anything. The sacred place was in the playground of Shiva, where Shiva performed his divine Leela, in the sacred place of Badrinath, the abode of the Nath yogis of time immemorial. And as I walked, I was headed towards that sacred cave called the Jhilmili Gufa, at the foot of the splendid Neelkanteshwar mountain, because I had really an intense desire to go and meditate there and just be absorbed and pass out of my body in the sacred place, which for me I strongly felt was a past life connection, hallowed by past life meditations at the feet of this great immortal being called Shiv Goraksha Babaji. And when I reached the cave, I was tired, so I lay down, stretched myself out, and closed my eyes. Suddenly, I felt being revamped by a warm and a cool current rushing through my body. From the tip of my toes, a warm current would come to the top of my head. And from the top of my head, a cool current would rush down to my toes. And I was wondering what was going on, because that time I was meditating 10 to 12 hours a day, mostly in the night, and wondering why this was being done when Nadi Shodhan had already been done, I had already purified the psychic nerves, was already in my states of trance, my own Manyavasthas. But yet this was being done, preparing me, so to say, for a higher purpose, for a higher incoming surge of spiritual power. And so this was true. And as I fell asleep into a darkened state, suddenly the clouds came. The sun went behind it. And I was rested. When the clouds were there was a velvety silence and a darkness. As I lay down, and then with closed eyes I suddenly saw a light coming, the sunlight. I said, the sun has come out. But actually it was not the sun. The clouds had not removed. It was the splendid form and brilliance of that isness of being. It was the divine being. But I didn't know that. So I was lying on my back, I turned around onto my stomach, I pranamed, and I asked, "Who art thou?" I pranamed and asked, "Who art thou?" And the answer came from within me and from everywhere without. That who you thinkest me to be, that I am to thee. I am what I am. And so the past sanskars from my sadhana, from my innermost consciousness were drawn out. And I said, "O Lord, thou art the great nameless one, whom in the Middle Ages they knew as Shiv Goraksha Babaji." His voice instantly rung out in the innermost firmament of my consciousness. Tathastu, tathastu, tathastu. And here the essence filled the trees, the sun, the sky, the stars. Everywhere my essence was. I had become vast, and I was able to capacitate the messages which were given to me by this being called the Nameless One. For to me, this nameless being is the lightning standing still. This Shiv Goraksha Babaji is the head, the heart, the seed and the soul of undying knowledge, spread from eternity to eternity. Eons of historical messages, eons of historical paper, eons of length of information were given to me within a fraction of a second. And it entered this Anandamay Kosh of mine, this spiritual body of mine, in photons of light. The message came in photons of light. Each volume was encapsulated in photons of light within fractions of seconds. And this was embedded in my subconscious mind, in my superconscious awareness, to be more correct. It was embedded in my superconscious awareness. And as these photons of light began coming, I was expanding more and more and out of my body. I was not taking this information from my intellect, nor from my emotions. I was taking it beyond my intellect and mind. The information was given to me in my awareness, which is, you can say, the superconscious mind. And there this information was embedded and lay latent, later being filtered into the memory banks. But awareness was the instrument of absorbing this divine information. And it is difficult to describe his form. Lost in splendor, I would never have been able to see it in my physical body. But in my Anandamay Kosh, the divine causal body, I could read the Akashic records all around of myself, my past lives, my lives in future. And I saw him there standing in all his majesty and all his splendor. His hair touched his heels. It was ablaze with a supernal fire and a light. His body appeared wet as though he had just come from a bath, had taken a snan, a bath in the Alaknanda river. His body had a wet-like appearance but was still dry. And the deathless fragrance of his body told me the tale of his immortality. So glorious was he, the king.
The true contribution, the essence of what India has to offer to the world's citizenry is its spiritual wealth, its expertise in the evolution of consciousness as a science unparalleled by any other nation. The mindset and conscious abilities of the Indian people to sustain peace and courage during wave after wave of foreign invasion is unique amongst the peoples of the earth. If earth peace is to herald the dawn of the new age, we must all realize that humanity is one's only religion, breath one's only prayer, and consciousness one's only God.